Welcome to the Real Estate and Small Business for Management Consultant Show. Whether you hold a corporate 9 to 5 or have determined that you want to explore the small business realm, this show is for you. Christian Carrillo talks to entrepreneurs and experts in the real estate and small business realms to discover what they do, why they do it, and how they do it to help show you the art of the possible. And now your host, Christian Carrillo.
Welcome back to the Real Estate and Small Business for Management Consultant Show. I am your host, Christian Carrillo. Today, I am very excited for this episode and this interview because I've been trying to get this man on for quite some time. Our guest is Francis Mangubat. Thanks for hopping on the show, Francis. It truly is a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, Christian, thanks for having me on.
Of course, my friend. So at only 25 years young, Francis is the co-founder and managing partner of Advance Philly, a real estate sales team that helped clients purchase and sell, I think, north of 85 million of Philadelphia real estate in 2019. Francis personally owns over 2.5 million of Philadelphia real estate and sold over 50 million in Philadelphia real estate with his business partner, Lawrence Resnick. Francis's background is in finance, where he graduated from the top of his class at the University of Delaware. When he decided to practice real estate, he chose Philadelphia over New York City and Los Angeles because of the potential to build wealth in an undervalued city. I could go on and talk about this man, but I think the only way to do him justice is to turn it over to him and let him talk about his life, what has helped him get to where he is today and what he's doing now. So Francis, once again, really appreciate you hopping on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, Christian, I really appreciate the kind introduction, and thanks for having me on your podcast and on your show. So a little bit about myself. I'm 20. I turned 28 years old now. Shit, I'm getting old. It was my birthday last week. But
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. So I sell real estate here in the city of Philadelphia, in Philadelphia County only. I work with a lot of real estate developers. I help them find, their off-market deals. I work with a lot of homeowners, first-time buyers, basically like every aspect of a real estate transaction here in the city. I'll broker about around 40 million of real estate myself this year. My team, we should be around 85 million. We've been at that mark, I think, the last 2 to 3 years. So a little under like 250 million sold in the last 3 years. So I love the Philadelphia market, and I love being here.
That's exceptional. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know a bit more about you through following you and through our mutual friend Ross. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your story, your upbringing, and ultimately how you got to where you are today, because I think it's truly an exceptional story, and I think definitely one that warrants telling as well.
Yeah, so really good question. Ross is a dear friend, but a little bit about my background. So I moved to America from the Philippines when I was 8 years old. So my family had a super wealthy background in the Philippines, but then when we moved here, my parents had to start from scratch. So my father was working like an $8 an hour job at the front desk of Coca-Cola when we first moved to Grays Lake, Illinois. And my mom was raising 5 kids on a first year like fellowship salary, which is like 30 grand a year. And then the next 4 years, a resident salary. I think that was like 40 or 50, 55,000. So growing up, my like 5-star birthday meal was like eating at McDonald's, and then we were raised on like food stamps. We were gifted like 2 super beat up like 15-year-old cars. So that was my upbringing, and I'd say that was really challenging growing up. But even through high school, in the summers I'd be working 40 hours a week at the golf shop. In college, my senior year, I was interning at JP Morgan. I was doing sales for like a health and wellness company. I was job hunting, career hunting, networking, and graduated with a 3.8. So I would say that the poor upbringing really sought and internally motivated me to take advantage of every opportunity.
That's amazing. And I think, a lot of times when as individuals, maybe we're facing hardships, it can sort of knock us down, right? And that's sort of where mentality comes in. And I think you talk about mentality quite a bit. And I think, looking at your situation specifically, I think work ethic was instilled in you right from the beginning, right? By your parents and your relatives and whatnot. In sort of pursuing your career and getting to where you are today, at what point did you realize that entrepreneurship was something that you were going to pursue, right? Because you talked a little bit about, some amazing firms that you had the pleasure of interning with. Why not go the maybe corporate career route? Why did you decide to pursue entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So Christian, my sophomore year of college, this is crazy. I'm hanging out with my group of high school best friends, and my group of high school best friends were just ones that got in trouble for like drinking underage. We were partying underage. We definitely had a good time. We were like the most popular kids in school. But it's me, my friend John, and my friend Elidon, and then I was interning at like the Chamber of Commerce in like Dover, Delaware. It was pretty much like a joke of an internship. I think I just graduated my first year with like a 3.98 GPA, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing super well. And then my two best friends, John, Corin, and Elidon, who these kids are just like essentially like idiots in high school. They're like the jocks. So Elidon's father is quote unquote my rich dad, one of the most successful guys that I know. So they really got on me about entrepreneurship. They got me on the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and it completely changed my life. Because like back then I was on the path of, like, I was taught growing up that you have to get the best grades ever, and that's how you become the most successful. If you just get like a 4.0 GPA, work at the best internship, then you're just going to be super successful in your life. And then I really thought about it, and I'm like, the kids that are going to these top firms, they're not really making like a whole lot of money, and they're not loving their life, 5 years out of college. So that just really, I'd say it took a lot of critical thinking that the path that everyone preaches isn't the way to go. And I think the Rich Dad Poor Dad book teaches you to, build businesses, build people, invest, and just think outside the box. So that I would say the point where I started getting into entrepreneurship is the point where I sort of took an outside look at myself and realized that the path that I was down would lead me to being essentially miserable for most of my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think it's quite the revelation to go through, right? When you start to surround yourself around those type of individuals that maybe you look up to, that start to give you those kind of resources. And I think this really tees up our next sort of question here really well.
By the way, can I add something, Christian?
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing that's crazy is, so I just got back from John's wedding, and my idiot friends that got me into reading like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Thinking Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Dad, just started thinking outside the box. They're the founders of a startup now. I think it's worth like 8 million now. They're raising like a $15 million valuation next year. And
wow.
I think they're like on pace to have like a $500 million company. So it's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. So, I think I'm so happy you brought that up, because I think that this sort of brings to light the importance of proximity, right? Surrounding yourself around those individuals, because I'm sure when you have friends like that, you're thinking to yourself, how can I get to the next level, right? Because these are individuals that push you, right? And sort of to the next point here, how important would you say that, have friends such as these, or perhaps mentors? How important has that been in your personal and professional development?
Yeah, I would say, I'm always looking for ways to learn. I'll give you an example. Through our mutual friend Ross, just from like hanging out. Ross, encouraged me to take a deeper dive into development. I do, one rehab. I bought it like November of 2020, finished it like, spring 2021. It was my first like Burr deal that I did. And, what I was into the deal for 510 and it appraised for 820. So it's like, wow, this is a concept that could scale. It's like, wow, I just on paper made $310,000 in 5 months, part-time. So I would say that, being in proximity of other people that are great, you can do great things. So I'll give you another example. One of my best friends, like Colin, who you should absolutely have on the podcast, he was just like, yo, buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And I'm like, and at first, like when you're super successful, I feel like your ego kind of gets in the way of doing other things. And then, he was telling me to buy Bitcoin at like 10K a coin. And even at like 30K a coin, it got annoying for me to set up. And I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'm not doing this shit. And then anyways, I ended up putting like a couple $100,000 in, and especially when it dipped, and like ended up doubling my portfolio just pressing a button on the computer. So it's just crazy through hanging out with other people that are tremendously successful in what they do. You can learn a lot of things.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was sort of in a similar situation. I started college in 2015, and one of my best friends, he has his own like Bitcoin mining company now, but he started investing in Bitcoin in like 2011 or 2012. And come 2015, he tells me, I think it's like still like a couple $100. He's telling me, you need to do this, you need to do this. Right. And hindsight's 2020. So nowadays I'm thinking, man, like I'm in this 9-to-5 job. Like I could be doing other things, but I'm so happy you brought that up, because you mentioned ego. And I think you sort of hit the nail on the head, because I think a lot of times ego can hold us back, right? Where it's a lot of times you could just go out and ask for help, seek mentorship, seek guidance. I'm a big proponent and believer that success leaves clues, right? So reaching out and seeing how you can add value to other folks, I think that's extremely powerful.
Yeah. And I think one thing too, on top of just like the mentor thing, is to take what mentors like insight is, and then like to kind of like do your due diligence on the insight. Like I'll give you an example. Like a friend that's like tremendously successful was just saying, like, get a car that's over 6,000 pounds, because you can depreciate the whole thing in a year. And double checking it with a few friends that are like tax accountants, lawyers, and then forming my own opinion of that strategy. Just because my father always told me growing up that like cars are a waste of money, you lose a bunch of money, like don't ever do it. But then there's people that are tremendously successful that can do it to as an asset or as a tax write-off. So you get a lot of really, really interesting perspectives. And I think that's one of that's where I'm fortunate, selling high-end real estate and working with super sophisticated investors and developers. So I really get to learn a lot from, a lot of different backgrounds, and I take the best bits and pieces of information and kind of like implement that into my own life.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you sort of reminded me of two quotes, and I think that the first one will resonate with you. It's Sir Isaac Newton. He says, if I can see far, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants, right? So to the point that you're mentioning. And then Picasso says, good artists copy, great artists steal, right? So he's saying, what can you take from what other individuals are doing, and then sort of add that with your own spices and create success for yourself. So I think that's exceptional. And that sort of leads me to talk about Advanced Philly. For our listeners that may not be familiar with what you're doing there, could you talk a little bit more about your services, what you're doing, and how you can help individuals?
Yeah. So at Advanced Philly, we help people buy, sell, invest, develop, rent out their real estate in the greater Philadelphia area. So anything that you need with a real estate transaction, I'd say anything that you even need like around the city of Philadelphia, we have connections that can just help clients. And it's just not real estate related, because we have a lot of connections with like every aspect of just like life here in Philly. And we work with a lot of great people.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And I think in listening and learning more about your story, I think you've experienced massive growth over the last couple of years and in what I think to be a short amount of time. And a lot of times we don't really see all of the effort that sort of went into that, right? My partner likes to say people see the glory, but they don't know the story behind all of the work. So how have you been able to accomplish that in I think such a short amount of time? What has helped you become successful?
Yeah, so Christian, I mean, even my junior and senior year at college, I mean, I think my junior year, I was taking like 18 credits. I was working at JP Morgan. I was doing sales for this health and wellness company, Isogenics. And I was still going to the gym, like 4 times a week. So I just took that same, work ethic into, the real estate business when I first started. So, and even when I first started, I would be working, 80 to 100 hours a week, just making phone calls. What I would do is I would build relationships with some of the top agents in the brokerage. I'd take them out to like nice dinners, just eager to learn. And I mean, that carries to now. I mean, even on vacation for my birthday, I mean, I'm freaking pumping emails at 5 a.m. But I think it's interesting because I genuinely love what I do. Like, I think a lot of realtors, like, they just want to, a lot of realtors want to sell real estate, and then they kind of just want to use that as a pathway towards development. Like, I will always sell real estate. Like, I love helping people, do a deal. My parents got fucked over by 2008. So if I can, help people, get market insight to where they wouldn't get hurt as bad, or they can even make a profit. I love that. So I'm a big people person, and love working with my clients. Yeah.
Man, I like you, Francis. You're a hustler, man. You're a hustler.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I just, love what I do. It doesn't, I mean, I can probably retire like in a few years, but I just love to work.
Yeah.
Like it just makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to ask you this question now. Can you tell us about your daily routine? So I feel like you're always moving, right? And doing big things. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your daily routine looks like?
Yeah. So I don't really have it. Like there's some people that are super regimented. I'm super flexible. So I'll wake up anywhere from, let's say, like 5 to 7 o'clock, depending on my appointments and depending on my appointments and my day and how late I've stayed up the night before. And then I do a trainer twice a week, and I work out on my own 3 times a week. First thing is a workout, and then I just about my workday. I'd say part of my week is I actually cook. I eat out like 15 times a week. I actually have a video on how you can make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and how I've created a lot of opportunities for my clients and a lot of other people just by eating out every meal with someone else. So.
Yeah, no, that's exceptional. I was at a Grant Cardone training, and he sort of mentioned that exactly, right? He's like, why are you guys cooking at home? Go out and meet folks, go network, make relationships, right? So I'm happy you brought that up. And Francis, it truly has been a pleasure getting to know more about you. And I think that this episode has just been jam-packed with golden nuggets. But are you ready for a quick response round?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So first one here for you. If you lost it all today, what would you do?
If I lost it all today, I'd do the same exact thing that when I first started. I mean, I would get started again in the real estate business. I would work open houses. I would prospect, build a business. The thing is now I have my network in Rolodex that even if I, lost, I'd say all the money, I'd still have my connections, and I'd be able to build it back a lot faster. So just the big thing that, Gary Keller and, they teach you in the real estate business is you have to have clients, and you can't be a real estate agent if you don't have any clients.
Yeah.
So I've gotten really good at providing value for a lot of clients. So fortunately, like I have more clients than I get a lot of clients and I get a lot of referrals, partly because of how I'm able to add value to a lot of my clients.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Going forward, what do you have planned in your business and why?
Yeah, so actually this year I'm just focusing on only sales. In the past, me and my partner, Lawrence, we would run everything together. We go to all the ops meetings together, we do all the team meetings together. But what I'm super passionate about is creating opportunities for my clients. So all I do is find real estate deals and real estate opportunities for my clients. Lawrence is the one that's operating and managing the team. And yeah, I do my little burr rentals on the side too. But yeah, I love, selling real estate.
Nice. And I'm sure continual growth is part of the plan as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Always.
Awesome. If you could give our listeners one piece of advice today, what would it be?
I would say it's to not give a fuck what anyone else thinks, because people get so wrapped up in other people's opinion, or what my parents think, what my best friend thinks, what my boyfriend or girlfriend thinks, or what my boss thinks. And it really, at the end of the day, it comes down to you. I remember when I first started, people like my friends from college and high school were like giving me shit for posting on social media. And it's like last year, in the year before, I've sold like $20 million worth of real estate from, Instagram leads and YouTube. So it's really funny. I think it's comical. Just don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
I hope you all heard that, because that was facts, straight facts. I hope you take that to heart and keep pushing, because I love that. All right, Francis, how can our listeners get to know more about you and connect with you?
I would say the platform that I'm most active on is Instagram. And if I get like a lot of DMs and stuff, so like if they comment on the photos or whatever, and if you reach out enough, like I'll get to it. But yeah, I'm on Instagram like all the time, and I post snaps and parts of my daily life all the time on Instagram. So
awesome, Francis. Once again, thank you so much for all of your time today. It truly has been a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm sure you already look like you're eager to go make moves and make some money. So once again, thank you so much for hopping on, and I hope we get to chat soon, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Appreciate it. See you, man.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate and Small Business for Management Consultants Show, brought to you by Quetzal Capital Group. Quetzal Capital Group works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate while also looking to add value in the communities where they operate. Quetzal Capital Group, client-centered, data-driven, result-oriented. Connect with us online at quetzalcapitalgroup.com.